Besides welcoming you, I would like to invite the first speaker, Veronica Ambrose, from community organizer from Modesto Pride.
First, let me thank everyone who is here tonight, braving the cold to bring warmth and love to the community. I've been working with the LGBTQ+ community for the past 7 years, and in that time, I have had to write too many public statements condemning violence and hate that have targeted us. Mo Pride has had to replace smashed windows and sweep broken glass too many occasions. Targeted violence, discrimination, and negligence are continuous threads in the LGBTQ+ history. Whether we look back at the Stonewall riot, the AIDS epidemic, or mass shootings. There are others that are better able to speak to our history and the path ahead, so I will speak to my experience. When the first straight pride was announced by a peaceful, racist group, my grandmother was in Stanford Hospital, and she was 96 years old, and she was not going to bounce back from this one. While my family gathered around her, I knew my community needed me here. I remember the last time I saw her, this strong matriarch that brought my mother and her siblings to Half Moon Bay. She fled years of abuse to make a better life for her kids. Even in her hospital bed, she wanted her hair brushed and her teeth in, even though every time she fell asleep, they would fall out. I said my last goodbye, and she gave me a blessing, and I gave her kisses. I brought her blessing with me to the valley, to a community full of fear and uncertainty. My grandmother knew that she had succeeded in giving her children a better life. My mother never attended high school, but holds 3 advanced degrees and retired from a career supporting migrant families throughout the Bay Area. But I didn't feel like I was able to show her my success. Even though she cannot be by my side today, I take her in spirit with me. I know that she would be proud of me for standing up for myself, working to help our community, and continuing the long line of strong femmes in the family. 2 years ago, I had a daughter. She carries my grandmother's name and the name of other strong women from all sides of her family. In her 2 years on this planet, stories of mass shootings, anti-LGBTQ legislation, and slandering the LGBTQ community has been on the steady and horrific rise. Concerns about a mass casualty event targeting the LGBTQ+ community in Modesto and Central Valley are justified. In fact, my family has emergency plans to keep ourselves and my daughter safe in case my community organizing causes Mo Pride to be targeted. While I grieve my sense of safety in the community, I refuse to stop doing what I love, which is helping my community. Because one day, my daughter will learn about everything happening today. And when she asks what we did to fix things, I will tell her the truth. Until then, I will keep working to help the LGBTQ+ community and all marginalized communities, remove barriers to resources, advocate for those we serve, building a better world for my daughter to find her own path. We realize that not everybody has the access to resources or the opportunity to directly work with organizations that support the historically marginalized people in our communities. Show your support how you can. Interact with social media posts, learn how you can be culturally competent while addressing community struggles. Listen to those in need without judgment, and give. Donate to organizations like Mo Pride. Go a long way to create positive change in the community. While there are times when we feel little and alone, remember, together we are mighty. Thank you.
Well, before we continue, I have to apologize because I assume everyone knows me and I didn't introduce myself. I'm Father Misael. Trans Latinos and LGBTQ plus individuals. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Catalina. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here tonight as we gather to remember the lives of those that have been taken from us. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit nervous. Spaces like this make me a little bit, The lives of those that have been taken from us by the acts of violence rooted in hateful ideology that seeks to, as some claim, cure us from our sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression. The thing is that none of us, I'm exhausted. I had a long day. I'm reading the wrong one. First and foremost, I'd like to take a moment to stop and appreciate everyone who has shown up today in solidarity against the violence and the hatred that is plaguing our country today. Growing up as a transgender teenager in Merced during the 1990s, it was an extremely difficult time to find any resources for kids like me, much less people who were brave enough to stand up with us. There was no laws protecting me, no teachers to talk to, no neighbors to lean on. The world around me did absolutely everything it could to tear me down, and for a while, I admit it did. When you grow up in a world that takes every chance it gets to remind you that you are unwanted and loved, it was only a matter of time before I felt a deep, dark depression overcome me as I struggled to cope with the bigotry that seemed to be around me no matter where I turned. I sought relief in alcohol and drugs, a temporary medicine for pain that wouldn't stop gnawing at my heart and mind, a brief release from it found at the bottom of a bottle, even for a moment, and eventually it took everything from me, even the roof over my head. Oh yes, because of transphobia, I have experienced it all. I've experienced homelessness, I've done sex work for survival. At some point in my life, their hatred and bigotry sent me to rock bottom, and you know what? I survived. I'm still alive, and now it's time to thrive. You cannot break me, because I have one thing that keeps me going. I have community. The same thing that your hate denied me as a teen, I have fought to build. I have found my home in, and I will fight to protect. So to those nasty politicians who have decided to make my life their agenda, I have one thing to say to them. You cannot break me when I have community to turn to. To everyone listening, I'm going to ask you for one thing and one thing only. Invest in your community. Give back. Volunteer.
Now I'd like to Salvador's Central California LGBTQ Collaborative representing gay immigrant voices.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone for joining us here tonight as we gather to remember the lives of those that have been taken from us by acts of violence rooted in hateful ideology that seeks to, as some claim, cure us of our sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. The thing is, though, that none of those things are illnesses that need to be cured. It is not something that needs to be fixed. It is the way that we are, the way that we were born, and the way that we deserve to be loved. We are your children. We are your brothers and sisters. We are your parents, your grandparents, uncles, aunts. We are all around you, in schools and at work. We live life just like you do. We laugh at the same jokes and shed tears over what makes you cry. Like 19 children and 2 teachers gunned down in an elementary school. Like 5 community members taken from us in a flurry of bullets at a bar. We mourn and grieve loss, death, and violence, just like you do. It scares us, just like it scares you. But in the same vein, we all have also felt the same euphoric joy, the same warm embrace of love, the same feeling that stirs our bones into action, into surviving, into living, and into loving one another as it was always intended. I may have crossed an imaginary border, and you may say that that makes me different from you, but we still bleed the same color. We still shed the same tears. We are still one and the same. But your ignorance and your hate blinds you to that. You shut yourself in and refuse yourself a friendship because you cannot look past who we love. You blindly follow the agitation of those who weaponize my own religion against us. But love is not a sin. Love is not a choice. Love is a human experience. Love is love. The only thing that can drown out hate is love. Love is like the warmth of the sun after a long, harsh, and cold winter. Love is the light that illuminates the way for us and leads us from out of the shadows. Love is speaking up when you witness homophobia and transphobia. Love is using the correct pronouns and names. Love is doing all that you can to understand. Love is not being ashamed to say that you are proud of your gay son. Love us. Love us out loud. And when you do, it is then that will come out of the shadows. Thank you.
Abby King, Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Ari Kenny. I live in Modesto the past 6 years. I'm a queer, non-binary person, and I lead LGBTQ plus allyship workshops at Ian J. Gallo Winery. Like all of you, I was shocked and horrified to see the recent attacks on the LGBTQ plus and Jewish communities. I'm grateful for these community groups for denouncing violence and hatred and creating a space for prayer and action. In service of peace, unity, and understanding, I'm here to share one of the most valuable, impactful things we can do to stand against hate. Donating, investing in our community, and educating ourselves and others. That's what we can do to start building peace. It's shared understanding. The more we understand about other people, the more we realize they aren't so different from us. Their otherness goes away. They become relatable. I'm extending an offer to all of you to a unique opportunity for people, anyone, regardless whether they are their understanding of some of these topics and communities, to come learn something new. What I'm offering, in partnership with Matthew Mason and the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Stanislaus, is a space to learn more about the LGBTQ plus community, so you can be a positive force for good and helping to educate others. After many conversations throughout our church, we decided to create a formal place to learn about young people and LGBTQ plus identities the last 2 Sundays in January 2023. We're calling the series Growing Our Awareness to Create a Better World Together, Community Conversations about Gen Z and LGBTQ plus. Session 1, January 10th, 22nd, 1 to 3 p.m. It's titled Ask a Young Person, focusing on the identities, attitudes, and behaviors of young people. Session 2, January 29th, 1 to 3 p.m. It's titled Ask a Non-Binary Person, that's me, focusing on LGBTQ plus identities, gender, and sexuality. Many members of our congregation have already signed up, and now we're socializing these events to you, the broader Stanislaus County, in service of helping local community members who want to understand more. If you have an LGBT plus loved one, want to learn how to support them, if you've ever wondered, what do all these identity terms mean? Why are there so many LGBT plus young people these days? And what is the difference between gender and sexuality? These events are a trusted space for you to learn and ask questions anonymously. I hope that you'll join us. We brought some flyers we passed out after. We only have 100 spots, so I encourage you to reserve your spot today if you'd like to attend. We're not helpless. We can learn how to talk about homophobia and transphobia. We can learn about LGBTQ plus identities, gender, and sexuality, and how to be an ally, how to support and help and create change. Deepening our understanding of what is happening, what people need, how we hurt and how we heal is how we combat darkness with light.
And now, Rabbi Shalom Bachner, Congregation Beth Shalom, Center for Jewish Life. Welcome.
Shalom Aleichem, peace to all of you. I'm Rabbi Shalom Bachner from Congregation Beth Shalom, the Center for Jewish Life. And I deeply appreciate Father Misael for organizing this event, the St.Frances community for hosting us, and all of you for being here for this important gathering. We are all living in very challenging times as we navigate through the dangerous waters of increasing hate, violence, and divisiveness. Every time there's a mass shooting, I feel like I've been kicked in the stomach. I'm heart-wrenched over the death of innocents, and even worse, the normalization of this senseless destruction of sacred human lives. I'm sick of our so-called leaders offering only their thoughts and prayers, and then acting like there is nothing we can do to prevent this. We all have agency. We all have power. And there is nothing about this that is normal or healthy. We must all find ways to proactively change our society and heal our beautiful and fragile planet. These mass shootings don't happen in other countries the way they do here. And in my personal opinion, we must demand common sense gun legislation to keep assault weapons out of the hands of civilians and keep all guns out of the hands that would use them, not for self-defense or hunting, but in an unregulated manner to destroy human life and acting with mental illness, criminal intent, and violent hatred. If it happens at a school, a house of worship, a department store, a gay nightclub, or any place where people gather, we must actively pursue the biblical prophecy of achieving a world where, quote, all can lie down and no one will be afraid. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people are our brothers and sisters. They are literally our neighbors, our relatives, and we are told the essence of Judaism, Christianity, and all of the world's religions is to treat each other with kindness and compassion. Quote, love your fellow as yourself. As the great Rabbi Hillel taught, what hurts you, do not do to someone else. And we can all imagine what it feels like to be hated, targeted, blamed, and harassed. We must act. We cannot allow this to continue happening in this community, in this state, in our great country, or across our planet. Never again, the Jewish response to the Holocaust, which wiped out 6 million innocent Jewish men, women, and children, 1/3 of the entire Jewish people only 80 years ago, these words mean never again for anybody. We will not, we do not accept a world filled with violence, hatred, and division directed against any minority groups or identities as the norm. We have been created, all of us, to love, to build, to create, to heal, to come together in the face of our differences and our similarities. We are one human family, and we're all created in the image of the divine. I simply do not accept the white nationalist narrative. This land was made for you and me. Your Jewish friends, neighbors, and relatives are scared. We are seeing an astronomical rise in anti-Jewish hate speech and violence, including here in Stanislaus County. Only 0.2% of the world is Jewish. In this country, we are 2% of the population. Yet more than 60% of reported hate crimes in the United States are focused on Jews. It should simply not be acceptable for national leaders to have dinner with proud anti-Semites and Holocaust deniers. We must take action. It is clear to me that the antidote to hate and violence will always be more love, more light, more education, more fellowship. We have to learn about each other. We must insist that our faith leaders and politicians learn about each other, celebrate the diversity, and build respectful bridges of understanding between groups, ethnicities, and political perspectives. Get involved with the Interfaith Council. Make sure your pastors, imams, priests, and clergy are part of groups like MLinC, multi-faith leaders in community. Hope and faith can get us very far, but we also need to be aware of what is happening, and we need to do what is right. Our country's second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, hosted a roundtable at the White House last Wednesday on the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States, saying, quote, "There is an epidemic of hate facing our country. Words matter," he said. People are no longer saying the quiet parts out loud, they are screaming them. We need to respond, as we are doing tonight, with strong resolve and determination. We need to spread the light, chase away the darkness. In less than a week, it will be Hanukkah, a holiday whose name means dedication. It is the Jewish festival of light. From Sunday, December 18th through Sunday, December 25th, my community will host 10 different outdoor public Hanukkah candlelighting events all over the region. These are short gatherings with songs as we celebrate our Jewish identity and the miracles of Jewish survival. Please, join us, stand with us, help us feel safe. Rededicate yourself to prayer and action. The only way that we will transform the challenges of today into the blessings of tomorrow is through standing together in unity and ensure that peace and understanding are what our society is all about. We can do it. We have to do it. There is no other. Thank you.
I ask to come forward Deacon Tom Chicorelli, Director of Ecumenical Interreligious Affairs for the Diocese of Stockton. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, first I want to thank Father Misael for having the courage to have this event here tonight. And I want to thank all the speakers that I've heard tonight. It takes courage to come out and share your story. And I want you to know that I've learned something already. You know, many Hollywood celebrities and professional athletes say that they must use their platforms to share their views on issues and causes near and dear to their heart. You know, that used to be done in the old days in guest appearances on TV, interviews, and advertisements. But something's happened. Social media has changed all that. And unfortunately, it has created an avenue for every single person of every type who has an opinion about something to share that opinion. And some attention seekers are using social media to spread hate and division. And that is not tolerable. We should not tolerate that. You know, the word love is found 361 times in the Bible, while the word hate is mentioned only 86. And yet hate is at the root cause of the recent shootings in Colorado and the tragic increase in the anti-Semitic incidents in our nation. I was reading an article about Catholic Archbishop Samuel Avila from Denver that said that he and all Catholics should be saddened and outraged by the tragic and senseless shootings at Club Q. And a leading cardinal at the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops, Wilton Gregory, stated that in the wake of recent anti-Semitic comments from high-profile cultural figures, the need for ongoing dialogue between Catholics and Jews remains essential, as attacks against Jewish institutions have risen 21%, reaching historical levels. Catholics should be outraged at that as well. Our cultural diversity has always been our greatest strength as a nation. Diversity is good and should be celebrated, not ridiculed. You know, my mother used to tell me and my siblings when we were discussing a tough issue around the table, she would say, if you don't have something good to say about someone, don't say anything at all. I wish more people on social media would follow my mother's advice. Let's all choose love, not hate. Prayer is the answer. God bless you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to ask my friend Reverend Nelson Rabel of St. Mary's, the Pilgrim Lutheran Church. Welcome. Bienvenido.
First, I came for the LGBTQI plus community. Then they came for the socialists, the trade unionists, the Jews, the migrants, the African Americans, the Asians, people who were different. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. I'm paraphrasing the words of a Lutheran pastor during World War II, Martin Niemöller. Some of you might have heard about that famous phrase or text. I'm here to support not only the efforts that Father Misael is doing and the wonderful people from your congregation, Father Misael, St.Frances of Rome. I'm also here to join in support to the LGBTQI plus community and to tell you that you're not alone. We're here because of you. We're here for you. And we want you to know that people from different faith traditions have come together here, Jewish, Roman Catholics, Protestants, hopefully Muslims and other religious traditions, traditions that are representing the best of faith, which is hope, love, understanding, solidarity, comprehension, inclusion, diversity. Those are the things we want to highlight in this moment. I was horrified when I heard about the shootings at Club Q. Not only because of the loss of human life, but precisely because hatred is not the way of any faith tradition. It's always love. And when any faith tradition somehow gets distorted, and promotes or highlights hate, then we have to call it for what it is. It's no longer about the divine, it's no longer about the best of what faith is about. It's the perversion of the human soul. It's not faith, it's not from the divine. And we as people of faith, regardless of our faith traditions, we are able to say that strongly, like we're doing now by being here. We will be able to transform this world and bring peace, communal understanding, solidarity, respect, and unity. Thank you again, Father Misael, for this opportunity. Thank you for the different groups from the LGBTQ+ community that have made this possible as well. From your strength, we are learning. From your unity, we want to model ourselves after what you're creating as well. And you are empowering us to be here for you as well. You're not alone. All of us are here for you. Thank you.
Melissa Santos, Congressman Josh Harder's office. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Santos. I'm a district representative for Congressman Josh Harder, and it's an honor to be here on behalf of Congressman Harder tonight as he's in Washington for votes. I'd like to start by thanking Father Avila for the invitation tonight and for gathering all of us. Congressman Josh Harder prepared a statement, which I will read in English first and then in Spanish. Buenas noches a todos. Me llamo Melissa Santos, soy su representante para el congresista Josh Harder. El representante Josh Harder no nos puede acompañar esta noche porque está en Washington para votos, pero me gustaría agradecer al Padre Avila por juntarnos esta noche y por crear este evento seguro. El representante Josh Harder preparó una declaración que yo voy a leer en inglés y después en español. I'm honored to be with you all here tonight in spirit as we come together to stand against gun violence, racism, and the recent rise in anti-Semitism we've seen across our nation. As members of the faith community, we're called to love our neighbors and treat everyone with respect. And the violence and hatred we've seen lately goes against everything we believe in. We can't let ourselves be divided by our differences. We need to stand together and reject hate and violence in all its forms. Let's pray for the victims of these tragedies and for the strength to end this madness once and for all. And let's pledge to do our part to make the world a more compassionate and just place for all people, regardless of their faith and background. I'm proud to serve as a congressman and to stand with you today and every day as we seek to create a better, more peaceful and loving world. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Assemblyman Juan Luis. He's going to say a few words. But first, let me ask you, I don't know if this is true, I was told that you were an alpha server not too long ago.
I was.
Oh, it was, okay.
I was.
Okay, well, we're very happy to have you back.
On that note, so my name is Juan Luis. I am not the assemblyman for Riverbank, but I am from Modesto, Ceres and Turlock. But yes, I remember my family and I used to sit in the back here in this very church, and I used to actually train altar boys here. I used to be an altar boy as well here, and I remember Father Hayes, who was my father back then, like 20 plus years ago. I remember he used to stick his head out, and he'd be, because like the altar boys that were supposed to be working that morning, maybe didn't show up, and he would call my brother and I up, and we'd put on the robes and get to work. So it's great being back. So when I was asked to come here, and I was told it was St.Frances, I was like, yes, that was my church. So I'm more than happy. And I wasn't aware of what was going to go on tonight, but I'm so happy and proud of, Tom, where are you? Tom Ciccarelli? There you are. I didn't know if you knew I was here. I didn't know you were here. I used to be a detective with at the Family Justice Center for domestic violence and crimes against children, so that's where I knew Tom from. And I'll mimic you. I've learned a lot tonight as well, and it is also very brave of all of you to come up and speak. And I applaud you guys for that. Tonight, obviously, love was a big thing that I'm also going to take from tonight. And love conquers all. And us working together is great. And we talked about legislation. Well, that's what Assembly do. And so I'm sure I'll be hearing from a lot of you. And I welcome all of you, please, to also come and visit me, and I would love to come visit all of you as well. We do have an office at 1010 10th Street on the 5th floor in Modesto, and I also have an office in Sacramento. If you want to take the drive, come on down, but I'll be there in Modesto as well. So, mimicking off that, for those who also don't know, I'm a sergeant with the sheriff's. I took an oath to serve and protect all of you, everyone, doesn't matter who they are. And I promise to take that also to Sacramento as well. I know we've talked about ways to prevent violence, but there's another thing that is also that's preventative is consequences. Historically, throughout whatever region or country you look at, it's always been consequences that have been a big part of people not wanting to commit crimes. And so I know, and for those that followed me in my campaign, that was a big thing with me, was bringing back a lot of the consequences to crimes. And trying to prevent it that way as well. So I will continue with my promise to help keep everybody safe, everyone, and I welcome all of you guys, and I thank you guys for having me here tonight. Thank you.
have two more, okay? Chairman Biros, I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. Biros of the mayor, thank you for being here. Our mayor, King Riverbank, couldn't be here, he has another meeting, but that's not why we invited you, okay? I'll make that clear, okay? Thank you for being here.
Good evening, Riverbank family and friends. It's an honor to be here with you tonight to share this time of prayer with each of you. I ask that you use tonight as a stepping stone and continue to look out for your neighbors, your families, your friends, and even people that you meet at the grocery store. This is a time for us to come together to show kindness and to be mindful to others in our communities and surrounding areas. I'd like to share with you my favorite quote that really made an impact on me. It's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child or a garden patch or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life can breathe easier because you have lived is succeeded. You know, many years ago, many moons ago, I thought it would be nice if the people I work with were like me. You know, the way I work, the way I do things. And then not too long after that, I cleaned out the garage with my mom. And we are the same person. The umbilical cord is definitely still attached. That was the last time I thought it would be nice to work with people that were just like me. We are not the same. Not one of us, not in every way. Please take the time to appreciate our differences, which is what makes us unique and special. Whether it be the color of our skin, who we are married to, where we work, what type of car we have, what language we speak, if we have a home, or doing our best to not live on the streets. Take this time to be kind. Again, it's an honor to be here with you tonight with my wife Janine and our daughter Haley in the City of Action, our neighbor, and with our friends. Thank you to Father Avila for including me, and God bless you.
And last but not least, Margaret James, Vice President of the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. As an African American woman, I'm well aware of what racism and discrimination feels like. When I was younger, I would have never imagined how many forms it could take. I'm encouraged that we are here tonight in solidarity to recognize how we are connected by love, peace, and compassion, regardless of race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or religion. God is love, and love is God. As humans, we come in all sizes and shapes and all colors. God, our Creator, loves everybody. Therefore, who are we to judge others? If He didn't intend for us to be different, He would not have created us as He has done. Violence, hatred, and extremism is a learned behavior. The good news is that it can also be unlearned with the right incentives. Violence is a symptom of a problem and not a cause. It's a reaction to something else. It is everyone's responsibility, yours and mine, to do more to help everybody feel included and to resist violence becoming normalized. We have to be receptive to new ideas, changing times, and expand our networks of influence. Reducing violence requires learning more about the motives behind it. It requires stepping outside of our comfort zones and silos so that we can get to know each other better. Peace is not a spectator sport. It takes a learning team effort, and we all have a role to play. Solutions don't rest on the shoulders of what others did in the past. Solutions come from the positive steps we take today. Each generation is expected to help create the future they want to see. God's gift to us was life. What we do with that life is our gift back to Him. Silence and complicity is not an option. Every generation has the responsibility to help make the world a better place. And there are a number of things we can do to get involved in a constructive way. It all begins with self. We must first honestly examine our own biases and prejudices that influence who we are. Second, we have to be willing to suspend judgment and to learn from one another. Third, we have to speak up and speak out against all forms of hatred, especially within our inner circles. Fourth, we have to continuously bring unlike minds together to build bridges of understanding. In closing, I want to say that there truly are only three types of people in the world. People who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. Let's continue to make things happen. Let's continue to be the change that we want to see. Let's continue to do God's work. Peace and blessings to you all.
Pope Francis has made it very clear that LGBTQ people should always be welcome in the church. There has been progress in this aspect. However, there is still a lot of room for improvement. I frequently hear from members of the LGBT community how they are condemned when they attend church, and I think this is not only in the Catholic Church. When we don't recognize the inviolable dignity of every human being, it leads to violence, hatred, and fanaticism. The church should emphasize, I want to make that clear, emphasize that God does not condone or desires violence against LGBTQ people. The focus should always be on God's love and mercy, because we are all, and I mean all, including the Pope, my bishop, everyone in need of conversion. Not the LGBTQ people, nor anyone else should be unfairly singled out. I am very thankful to my bishop, Kota, because he has shown me and others in many ways his support for LGBTQ Catholics in my diocese. Finally, I just want to say that the church supports a ban on assault weapons. So I ask you to please call your representative to ask him or her to support this type of legislation. Thank you. Okay? So, I apologize when I said I was going to be an hour, so I'll go to confession. Okay, I know. Okay. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to finish with a prayer. And this is the way we're going to do it. It's very simple, but very, very meaningful. Yeah, because action is important, but prayer is very powerful too, I believe. So I'm going to mention the names of the people that were murdered at the club and then at Walmart. And I asked a few people to put a candle on the altar. So you want to come just over here so we can do it, get ready.
Gracias.